Well, we're still in northern Arizona,
Right.
where we came down here for the Southwest Regional NMRA Convention, which was at Flagstaff.
Right.
And this time we're visiting the HO Railroad of Verryl, Fosnight.
This is one of my favorite railroads.
It's so amazing
Right.
and so huge.
Yeah, a whole building.
It's in Cornville, which is right next to Dave Meek's railroad there at Jerome, Arizona. All right there near Sedona. So what Verryl has done here is he wanted to create the Wyoming subdivision of the Union Pacific. Pretty much the entire Wyoming subdivision.
Yeah, I think he's got it covered.
So that's why he wanted to build this huge, massive railroad. Also, he's just really into realistic operations and, realistic operations over a vast section. This is a video from 8 years ago when we were down here. The railroad was only 4 years old at that time, and they had just finished getting all the bench work and track work in, and they had everything up and running, but really no scenery in place. And now, 8 years later, it's starting to really take shape.
It sure is.
The construction technique is really amazing. For one thing, the entire railroad is in a custom-built steel building. And then the benchwork is also, the fundamental benchwork is all built on the same steel framework on a whole bunch of different levels. And that enables them to really put a lot of benchwork and tracking here, because all of this benchwork, here we are at the very top level of the benchwork, and there's benchwork underneath us on lower levels, and operators operating trains on about 3 different levels inside the building here. It's just huge. You can see here all the way down to the lower level, and then there's this big helix that connects the various levels. Plus you can operate trains upgrade all the way from the lower levels up to the upper levels. The railroad models the entire Wyoming subdivision from Cheyenne here all the way across Wyoming to Evanston, Wyoming at the other end. Let's let Verryl sort of explain the whole thing to you. This is an interview from 8 years ago.
Well, I was raised in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and we had the Indian Village Motel, Motor Lodge, which was the original one with the teepee. And across the street was the AD tracks, the arrival departure tracks, where you could see the big boys sitting there waiting for trains. Of course, all kids wanted an electric train, and we couldn't afford a Lion, all I had a Marx. And then an hour later, you'd see this black cloud up on Sherman Hill, 30 or 40 miles away, and that was smoke on the hill. So I suppose that was the everybody thought it was what he saw as a kid, you know. So we started in 2011, just under 4 years ago, just around Thanksgiving, right after Thanksgiving. So we've been working at it 4 years. So we have a lot to do yet. Well, you're never finished with a hobby like this, any kind of a hobby. And we've got about 5,300 feet of track. The main line is 1,006 feet that I measured with a rolling tape measure on one of them, and they're both about the same. So it's just over 1,000 feet main line. It takes an hour and a quarter to an hour and a half just to run a train over the whole thing at a scale 30 mile an hour speed. We have about 2,300 cars and about 150 passenger cars. I've got over 100 locomotives. I don't know how many, because there's always some that we're working on. And we have, I think, 15 or so Challengers. We've got 7 or 9 big boys. We have 7 turbines. We have two 12-4s, they didn't really use them when the big boys and the Challengers came along. They moved them out on the flatline because it was hard on the track. But they're really nice locomotives. So the advantage of a very large layout is you can have real simple jobs to get beginning operators started, and you can have real complex jobs to keep everyone happy. We have locals. We have coal extras or coal drags. Locals stop at almost every station and do pickups and setups. I made my own card system. So we have head-end cars for individual cars. We have block cars for blocks of cars that we switch. Then we have locomotive cards that tells how much the locomotive can, how many cars it can haul up the grades and on the flat, and where they stop, where they have to stop for fuel, water, sand, and ashes. We'll operate with, well, we like to have at least 35 people. We had an invitational meet with very accomplished operators. We had 35 plus some local guys to show them the ropes and everything. We ran 50 trains on the train sheet the first day and 57 the second day in 6.5 hours each session. That did not include the locals that didn't get on the train sheet, that never left the yard. So we ran probably 125 trains.
Boy, it sure changed in the past 8 years since we've been here. The structures and the scenery, I'm just totally amazed.
What was that? Verryl had several different operating sessions here during the convention, and a whole bunch of people chose to drive up here just to operate the railroad.
Well, how fun would that be, though?
I forget how many operators they said they can handle, but they can have a train leave each end every 9 minutes.
Holy cow.
So a lot of people, and then other people switching trains too.
Right.
And if you're operating on the main line, it takes, depending on traffic and so on, it can take about 2 hours to take your train over the entire railroad.
So I went out with weird reading the force and we stuff to try, but I was interested in picking some video. But when you start reading the mainline, you start having to actually work harder.
If you're familiar with Wyoming, the whole route there along I-80, you recognize all these places.
Boy, I'll say you do, right where you are.
Yeah, we've been to all these places.
Oh, right, yes.
And I've photographed the Big Boy and so on in a lot of these locations. And, It's just so amazing. It feels like you're actually there.
Well, it does. And if you didn't know it was a model, you'd swear you're really there.
And the extensive shops here in Cheyenne, again, pretty accurately reproduced. It doesn't look like this anymore. A lot of this is still there.
Right.
And we've been there and taken the tour of the Roundhouse on the one day a year that's open. But if you look at the old photographs of what Cheyenne looked like in the 1940s and early 50s, this is it. Mm-hmm. It's pretty accurate.
Exactly.
And I assume that therefore the operations of the shops here are very, very accurate as well. Real as it gets without a time machine. If you were trying to do wrong here, somebody moved it out to you already. And then, so all you do is all you're getting is a record. And I have nothing for how because everything is, I don't have anything to put. So
cars just about at the limit, and good thing about the cars.
Okay, thank you.
Check the turn off the other side because people like to do this.
Right.
And we don't have a disc out.
You have to watch that switch right there.
Yep. She slowed down. Slow down.
These are the hill that we left loose. They don't come into the wrong place. This one seems to be built very office.
What in the world have you spent here? Is that something you're comfortable talking about? Two?
Too much.
Too much. Excellent, yeah. Well, as always, it's fun to visit Verryl's Railroad.
Oh, I love it.
It's mind-boggling, and we've been talking now for a couple of years about getting down here and seeing the progress on this. And,
Exactly.
well, it's just absolutely been amazing, and it's beautiful to come to this part of the world. We're just here, just outside of Sedona, going up a canyon, and it's just such a beautiful part of the world. Well, if you're not a subscriber to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. And you might even want to consider becoming a member of the channel. There's a membership button there should you want to financially support the channel. But simply subscribing doesn't cost anything.
Nope.
So if you're not a subscriber, please click on the subscribe button.
Don't you mean the blue button? I mean, it's back now.
Yeah, now that the computer's working, yes. The upcoming blue button. Are we ready for it? Zoink! Right there, the blue button. Well, we're not sure how you found this video on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring, because it isn't boring.
Oh, no.
And we will see you here on Tuesday.
Right.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.